All right, hello guys. We should be live right now. Let's see. All right. Let's get back over here. We're going to be taking a look at the tropics today. So this is my first tropics live stream I've done in like forever, guys. But it's here. Make sure my oh, that's not good. Had the stream open. There we go. All right. So we're here. Can everybody hear me loud and clear? Let me know. We're going to get started. How's everybody going? Let's go ahead and take a look at Invest 97L first things first. We're going to do 97L and then 98L because that's, the correct order. And 97L, look at that, guys. So earlier, if you watched earlier our update, you saw that we had some pretty tall clouds here for 97L. As you can see, the whites and the pinks indicate those very tall clouds. But as we moved forward, it became kind of more broken up as it's going to load in here. It's actually moving a little bit slow. If anybody has any general questions, by the way, you can always leave it in. And I want to remind you that we do have a super chat button in the bottom right. If you would love to leave a donation, you can always do that. And it's not loading, so... Oh, here we go. So as you can see, it's actually flattened out quite a bit. And it's kind of doing what the GEFS model thought it would do, which is pretty much go kind of develop further south. So it's kind of redeveloped further south, and it's kind of getting suppressed. We're going to need to watch it closely. But let's see what our models... I'm going to go over to this website. I think we're going to get, many more models here. As you can see, there's that window I was talking about. I was talking about this area earlier in my video. It's kind of the sweet spot where it's not going to interact with land if it was to go through there. I really feel like a Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, or Florida impact is just the most likely. What will happen if you donate $500? I would refund it. Because nobody in their right mind should donate $500. Let's see. Where's our surface map? Here we go. Okay, so we have a high pressure system set up right here. It's kind of receded back a little bit, but it was right here. And I think what's going to happen is this general high pressure in the area is really going to force the storm to go further east. Maybe the eastern Gulf is what I've been saying. And look, we don't know how intense it's going to be, but regardless of intensity, that's pretty much what I'm thinking as far as track. Whether it's just an area of some clouds or if it's a hurricane, that's where it would probably go. Let's see. Welcome in, Adrian. Adrian is an awesome moderator in our Discord server. Hey, Adrian, can you send a comment kind of linking everybody to the Discord server? Because we have an awesome Discord server that I'd love to see you in. If you do like weather-related content and interacting about the weather with different people, including myself, it's an awesome place to go. So Adrian's going to get us a link. Now, let's go ahead and find our intensity guidance here. We have pick, which is kind of different than when I make my videos. I'm able to actually draw on the screen here. So here we go. As you can see, for 97L, you can see it's 97L right there. Every single one of the members has it crossing that tropical storm status, even this orange one just narrowly, but it does. So we do have every single model showing us at least become a named storm in there, which is very interesting. And again, it's just going to help us break that record for most named storms. We are racing in the record books as far as how many named storms. Unless it really slows down, I think we're going to break that record. And I'm actually going to pin that comment by Adrian. So in the pinned comment, you can see that's our Discord right there. And if you click that link, it'll prompt you to join our server. I would love to see you there and talk to you about weather. So go ahead and join. Let's see. The link is wrong. Let's see. I'll try to open the link myself and see what happens. Yeah, Adrian, that didn't take us to the server. So, you can take the one that's in my pinned comment on my most recent video if you want. That's an unlimited use link to the server. I mean, I would love to see you guys there. It's an awesome place that we've built there. Let's see here. We do have some ensemble guidance that is showing it move right into that area. Again, there's a high pressure system. It was here, actually. But it's kind of receded back this way. So it's going to allow for the possibility for these areas to receive it, because with the high pressure system there, obviously, you would likely see the storm curve like this, because obviously this low pressure system right here can't head straight towards a high pressure system. That's not exactly how it works. So that's not what we would see happen. Though with it back here now, I would say it is possible that it hits kind of like this. Still, a direct Texas impact would be pretty hard to get. What are the chances? It's like Michael. As far as intensity, the chances of this being like Michael are quite low. However, the track, I could see resemblance. So I can see what you're saying there. But really, everything's on the table right now. So there's not a really high chance of anything happening. Okay. So that's kind of our ensemble guidance here from the GEFS. We're going to talk about 98L in a minute. I know everybody probably wants to talk about 98L. Okay, this one should work. So let's see if it works. Perfect. Okay, the new link will take you to our server officially. So if you want to join our Discord server, you can click that new pinned link that Adrian has just commented, and that'll take you right to our server. Is South Florida a possible impact for 97L? You know, it's possible. I really think it's going to go west of you, though. Like, gut feeling. It's really hard to say, but I do think it's going to go west of you. So, I think you should keep an eye on it, but at the same time, it's just not what I think is going to happen. Alright, so let's try to see. That's pretty much all there is to talk about with 97L. I do want to see how the global models are handling it. So let's just head down to the Caribbean real quick here on our handy dandy GFS model here and see what it has to say on surface. We can watch what happens. Really, it's pretty disorganized, and the GFS ensemble model hasn't been very on board with it, but you can see it develop here kind of at day 3, that's day 4. Hit the Yucatan Peninsula there. What's actually going to be easier for you to see it is if we click this screen. Let's see. Okay, perfect. As you can see, that's kind of a good way to see how much cyclonic vorticity there is, which is tropical vorticity. And you can see it hits kind of near Cancun area, south of Cancun there. And then it heads back into the Gulf and potentially impacts Texas. But again, really, really feeling like we might get more of a pull back to the north with this one. It really just seems like that's what the surface would have it do. Sometimes you gotta, in weather, like if you're wanting to be somebody who forecasts weather, right, and you're listening, I would say one important thing I would say that a lot of people get wrong is don't just use the model guidance. Sometimes your brain will work better than those computers do. So sometimes it's better for you to just take a look at the surface and try to just decipher it yourself. Let's see here. So this model does have it then hitting Texas. It has a tropical system formed in the southeast. Not really buying that. It's a pretty far out. Let's take a look at what the Canadian model has to say. It's been really slow today, like somebody mentioned before. The Tropical Tidbits, great resource website. It's always in my descriptions, but really not working properly right now. Again, if you're just coming into the chat, we have 500 users right now watching the stream. I appreciate all of you. If you like the stream, it's going to help the algorithm suggest it to more people. This is very useful information, so obviously the more people that see it, the better. So if you like the stream, that's really, really helpful. Also, the super chat button, if you want to support the channel, the bottom right-hand corner there, you should find that if you would like to do that. Or if you feel so inclined, I would highly appreciate it. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, be sure to do it. We do streams like this and also awesome videos. Ooh, sneak peek to a graphic I've prepared for later. So let's take a look at what the Canadian model has to do. Hopefully we've loaded in some frames. So pretty close to where the GFS had it. Notice that's 98L flying by right there. So hold on, we got a little bit of a spoiler alert coming on the Canadian model here. But 97L, ooh. I know you guys can't pay attention to this right now when you see this, but hold on. Let's keep watching 97L, guys. Let's stay focused. And it kind of just hovers and then hits Mexico. And that's kind of that southerly suppressed storm that I mentioned before. And probably this model is eyeballing that area of high pressure, but what it's probably doing, because obviously if a high pressure system is located somewhere in here, it obviously could go south of it too. We have to consider that. It could go south of it or it could curve away. But this model likes to take it south of it, and maybe that's what the GFS is doing too. Maybe the GFS just has the high pressure a little bit further north. That would kind of explain the solution there. And again, this is why it's so important to understand the way the surface works and really the pressure works in weather. So let's go ahead and see how that plays out, and it eventually just fizzles out. So that's kind of what 97L does on this model. And honestly, that looks like a strong tropical storm, maybe a Category 1, but it's not the intensity that we want to worry about yet. So let's talk about my extended 7-day outlook here for Invest 97L. I really feel like this one's going to curve north. I am not buying that kind of entry into the Gulf. The high pressure there, I think, will block it out. I'm not saying it's impossible, though, and I have opened up more to the possibility. That model run I just showed you came out after I made this graphic, so the models have trended a little bit further west with it. So we're going to need to watch it closely. And again, if you watch our video tomorrow, we might have an update to this if the models keep trending at that more westerly route. Excuse me, I just hiccuped. So what I'll do here as well is we'll look at that intensity forecast here that I made for 97L. As you can see, it's probably going to remain under tropical storm status until at least later in the day tomorrow. I think that's the earliest we'll see a tropical storm from 97L, but it's still probable that it will still be under tropical storm status. Same story for day 3, except the probability of tropical storm begins to rise on day 3, 4, 5. So as you can see, I'm thinking tropical storm, though I keep the brief, just very slim possibility that it does not become a tropical storm, but I'm almost certain it's going to become a tropical storm at some point. And then there's a very slight probability that it does actually become a Category 1 hurricane by about day 5. But really, I'm thinking this one's probably a strong tropical storm at best, and that's really good news. All right. So now we're going to talk about 98L, which is probably why most of you are even watching this video for 98L. Again, if you're just joining us, we've received more than 150 new viewers in the past few minutes. I appreciate all of you. You can like the stream to support the stream. It helps suggest it to more people. But what's more important is I'd like for you to join our Discord community. That's in the pinned comment up above that Adrian's weather forecast left. That's an awesome online weather community where you can interact with other people who love the weather if you do as well. And also the super chat button is down there on the bottom right if you feel inclined to donate. Let's move on. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about 98L. And that's not 98L. That is Genevieve. Or Geneve. So I swear there was a hurricane called Genevieve like a year ago, wasn't there? Or was it maybe a little while back? Okay. Really out of the two, this is obviously the better looking one. And this is probably going to take a while to load, just like it did for 97L. But those pinks, and look, when you have an eye for it, you can just tell. But I'm going to try to help you guys here. You can tell this storm does have cyclonic rotation there. You can tell. These bands down here, just the way they're stretching out, and this up here is also a really good sign that we do have a really good area of rotation with this one. The storm was looking healthy this afternoon, and that's maybe about 2 p.m. Maybe 2 p.m. today. Let's go ahead and just extend it. You can see that little bit of rotation in there when I play it really fast. And generally, it's kind of looking a little less organized, but I think the rotation has gotten better. So it's stayed pretty neutral. I don't think we've seen too much progression, but I can tell this storm is pretty close to being a tropical storm. We're probably approaching tropical depression status. It really just depends if we're going to teeter around that area or if we're going to go up or down. Sometimes these storms act up and they take a while to get to that point. So we're going to need to watch it. It could be up to 2 days before we see a tropical storm out of this one. But this one I'm almost positive is going to be a tropical storm at some point, our 98L. All right, now let's look at our hurricane guidance here for our spaghetti models. And the one thing I do want to show you is this was 6Z, and the one thing that I want to note here is all of the models have it north of Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. Not a single model hits it or goes below it. They all go to the north of it. And what we saw happen after that point, as we move to, what we're going to do is we're going to move to the 12Z, is they began to spread out a bit. And what we saw is now, oops, wrong one. It looks like the middle point of where the models want it to go is actually these islands. So that's a significant difference. When they're all going north of it and now they're all hitting it, that's a big difference. And look, I know what Dorian did, but these islands will break up a storm. So really, if a storm hits these islands, expect it to rapidly lower in intensity, especially Haiti and Dominican Republic. If you haven't been there, it's a very beautiful area, by the way. Unfortunately, it is quite poor countries, but very beautiful, especially the mountains there. If you haven't seen it firsthand, it is a very beautiful area. But those mountains are tall, all right? They're tall. I've seen them with my own eyes, and if a storm heads over these, we usually see it break up quite a bit. Now, if it heads north of it, that's pretty bad news, especially if it's just north of it, because they're still going to feel the impacts right down here, and then it would be heading straight for Bahamas and maybe Florida, but it's pretty far out to say. But that would be pretty bad news, because it's not, if it heads north of these islands, it's not going to break up from the mountains. It's not going to break up from the mountains in that case. So we would see the impact still, but not get the benefits of the storm breaking up, if that makes sense. And then they kind of have an interesting curve here where they want to kind of curve this way. I don't know if they have later on a high pressure system set up here. That's a bit far out. That's moving towards maybe 8-9 days away. So that's a little far. A lot more of a manageable range is this 5-day range, and that's this right here. The 120 hours. Anytime within 120 hours is 5 days. All right, and that's a lot more of a manageable time frame, and you can see the models don't disagree a lot. There's a few that take it south of these islands, which in this morning's video I did mention that is possible. All right, but the more likely option has always been that it heads north of these islands. But now it's seeming pretty possible that it is going to hit these islands directly, which would be a pretty interesting outcome and obviously very unfortunate for them. But it could really help to break up this storm. So it's going to be a key factor, I think, moving forward with this storm. These next few model runs are really going to make a difference with the thinking for this one. We're going to talk about the dry air and the shear in a minute. Somebody mentioned it. By the way, thank you so much for joining the stream. If you're just joining us, we have over 700 members right now. We're approaching 800 members. And we're at 350 likes, so you guys are doing a great job. Please continue to like the stream. It really helps suggest it to more people that could really use this useful information as these dangerous storms are moving in. So we're going to need to watch that closely. Also, for the new viewers, you can join our Discord server by clicking the link down below, or actually it's in the pinned comment there. It should be by Adrian's weather forecast. And also, if you want to use the super chat button to donate, you can do so. It's on the bottom right-hand corner. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do it. We post all sorts of weather content like this. Let's take a look at our GEFS ensemble model. This is the American model's ensemble model. And an ensemble model is just multiple members. So each of these is a slightly different model from each other, and the black line is the mean average of all of these. So generally, if I could make a cone forecast of what this model is showing, it would look something like this. It would look ridiculous. The key thing I want to note here is what we've been talking about with the other spaghetti models as well, is a few of them have it hitting this, but the GEFS, the mean average right now, is just to the north of those islands, which again is kind of a worst case scenario. The other thing I want to mention is if you look to the right hand side here, you can see right here, the color does make a difference. If it's in the reds, it's a low pressure system. If it's in the yellows, greens, or blues, it's a little bit of a weaker low pressure system. So if you notice, if they hit the islands, they stay kind of green and yellow, but the ones to the north of these islands are oranges and reds. Because again, these islands would do a ton of damage to this storm, and I know the storm would do a lot of damage to the islands, but trust me, the storm is the one who would lose in that battle against the mountains. The mountains tear these storms up, and it would really keep this storm as a weaker low pressure system. If it goes north of these islands, it looks to be potentially as low as a 970, maybe even 960 millibar low pressure system, which is much stronger than a 1000 or 1005, and that's a massive difference. So I'm going to try to read some comments. Again, if you have any questions or anything you want to mention, anything you'd like to leave down below, go for it. We saw Leakso left 79 cents for me. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate you. Do we have any mods in the chat? Doesn't look like we have many mods. Adrian, you still there? All right, we're approaching 800 members. I really appreciate all of you. Again, if you okay, we hit 108 viewers right now, so thank you so much. 400 likes, you guys are doing great. But if you keep liking the stream, it's gonna help reach more people. I really appreciate it, and it really helps these people out. So they, I really want to just get this information out to as many people as possible. These storms are coming, and look, here's the good news though. We see our Canadian ensemble model, which, to be honest, isn't the best model. That's the only thing going on right now, is the GEPS is not the best model. The biggest difference with this model typically is we see a much wider range of where these models show it going. You can see the GEFS model had it very close together. This model has it really spread out, which means this model is not very certain, and the mean average means less, because if one shows it hitting Central America and one shows it hitting Maine, the mean average is going to be Florida. But none of the models show it hitting Florida in that case, but that would be the mean average. So the more spread out it is, the less it means. It's kind of spread out, but we can still use this model. It has been okay. And the hopeful thing here is this model, although it does have it moving north of those islands I mentioned before, it does have a curvature before it ever hits the Bahamas. Well, in most of these cases, before it hits the Bahamas or the East Coast. And then maybe even just west of Bermuda, which would be almost best case scenario. That would be the least land impact this storm could possibly have, which would be extremely good news. The one thing I do want to mention, though, is this model does have it stronger in some of these cases. As you can see, they're more in the oranges and reds. This one, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, have it reaching under 990 millibars, which would be a stronger storm, but again, if it doesn't have that land impact, that's really good news. All right, let's see. We don't know if it's going to hit land, okay? This storm could take a more track like this, and that's what we should be hoping for, guys. We don't want this storm to hit land, of course. The less impactful this storm can be, the better. And honestly, a lot of these, thankfully, show it being weaker, especially in this range right here. As you can see, more greens, yellows, blues. That's the better case scenario right there. The yellows, oranges, and reds, again, like I said before, that's the more worst case scenario right there. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the intensity model guidance for our Invest 98L. And then after this, we're going to talk about the overall tropics this season. Let's see, I'm reading some of these comments. They're coming in very fast, guys. What about the Bahamas? Honestly, if it takes that more out to sea track, the Bahamas would be pretty safe. But really, you're going to want to watch it closely if you're in the Bahamas. Let's see. Somebody said, what is with the thumbnail? It isn't major. I said potentially. I think, let me check the thumbnail, see what I said. Next major cyclone, question mark, which means it could be our next major cyclone, but I'm not saying it will be our next major cyclone. I hope that makes sense. That's what question marks are for. As you can see here, this is our Invest 98L model intensity guidance. And all of these, just like 97L, has it hitting tropical storm status, as you can see. So, again, this storm is more likely than not going to be a tropical storm, and almost certainly going to be a tropical storm pretty soon. As you can see, within the next 24 hours, every single model has it at tropical storm status or above. Very interesting here. We do have a few showing it become a hurricane here within the next 96 hours, although a lot of them keep it but lower, and I think that's due to dry air. We're going to talk about that in a while. Let's see. South Carolina, how's it going? Isaias 2.0. Honestly, this one, a little bit, I could see how it would be similar to Isaias, but I don't really. I think it's its own storm. It's a little different. Yeah, a lot of you from South Carolina. If you're from South Carolina, let us know. You're doing a great job. Keep up the great job. Thank you so much for the donation. Everything Weather said, how are you doing? I'm doing great. How are you doing, man? So as you can see, a lot of these, I mentioned this in this morning's video, a lot of these models had it on the upswing towards the end here. And that's very far out, okay? But you can tell that if I had to take a middle ground of where these models had it, you can see they're on the upswing at the end, which means they think it's going to be intensifying by the time the end of this model run hits. We don't see a very big drop in intensity, except here. We're going to need to watch that closely. There is a pretty big drop within this zone that a lot of these models are showing. And again, it's probably due to dry air, if I have to be honest. Will I ever do a face reveal? Honestly, probably not. If I have to be honest, probably will never do one. A lot of people love it, or want it, but all right. So, any further questions before I move on? Loving the stream so far. Marv said loving the stream so far and donated $2. Thank you so much for the kind donation. And I'm glad you're enjoying this stream. Again, if you want to leave a donation, you can do so by clicking on the bottom right-hand corner and using the super chat, but only if you want to. Oh, Weather Tracker, you're right. This drop in intensification, you're so right. This is when it would be hitting Haiti, Dominican Republic, areas like that. So I see now. That remember when we looked at the spaghetti models, some of them have jumped on board with that land interaction type track, and this is that intensity drop off from that land interaction, like I showed. So okay, I'm not thinking straight. Let's see. There's so many comments coming in. I'm trying to keep track of it. Let's see. Will this be a Cat 2? That's impossible to say as of right now. Is there wind shear? There has been a lot of wind shear in the Atlantic this year, guys. I want to say that. Frandy's Weather Channels donated $20. Thank you so much. You deserve this. My prediction, I think 98L will be at 115 miles per hour. Good prediction. That's pretty strong, but I love the boldness there. Shout out to Frandy's Weather Channel. I appreciate you a lot. And thank you for the kind donation there. Laura. Where do I think Laura will make landfall? Honestly, it's really hard to say. What I'm going to do here is move on and talk about 98L as far as our maps that I prepared here. Here's our 7-day extended cone. Again, this red cone right here, this is our cone that we released this morning. But since you're here in this stream, I've gone ahead and extended it for 7 days here in this more pink region. I've done that for you guys, and that's what I said I would do, and that's what I've done. Again, out to sea option up here, possible. Like I said before, more of a East Coast impact possible, and even a impact going through the islands as possible, or even just south of those islands as possible. Everything is on the table because that's so far out with this storm, this storm's track. A lot of people like to assume where a cone means it's going to go. Like, a lot of people would take the middle of the cone and say, oh, this means you think it's going to hit Florida. Not necessarily. You don't want to assume that. Wolfpack Gamer just donated $2. Thank you so much. Do you think South Carolina will get a major hurricane this year? It's impossible to say. It is probable as always, so the chances are average of that. So it's honestly just going to depend on what it does. I don't really. It's impossible to say. And again, I don't think either of these will be like Hurricane Michael. I don't think either of these are going to be a Category 5 hurricane, guys. A lot of people have been trying to hype these up and say, this is going to be the one. I don't know about all that. I think there's too many challenges this one could face, especially with interaction in these islands. And look, Keisha, you just said, great, thank God it's not going to hit Jamaica. I don't want you to be 100% sure. Just because it's just outside of the cone doesn't mean it's impossible. I try to keep all the options on the table, but really these storms can be unpredictable, and they can do things that are unexpected. So I don't want you to feel like it's 100% not going to hit. I am going to show the intensity forecast for this invest in just a moment, Hurricane 7. So stay tuned for that. I'll be showing that in just a moment. Does anybody have any further questions before we move on? Javen Chase, how's it going? Javen Chase said, Carolinas haven't had a Cat 4 since Hugo. It's been a long time. Hopefully we keep that streak of no Category 4s going for you guys. I already talked about Invest 97, but I will go back and talk more about Invest 97 for you since there's new viewers coming in. Let's see. How is there so much wind shear if we are so close to a La Nina? That's a great question, and it just goes to show that nothing is a sure thing in weather. Even though La Ninas typically mean less wind shear, that doesn't mean none, and that doesn't mean we'll even have less than normal, because some other things can cause certain things to happen, and that's just what's been happening. We've seen more shear than what is typical, even though the likelihood of that was lower than normal. Which do I think will develop quicker? Definitely 98L. 98L has a more a better future in the near future. Let's see. Yeah, Brian Hudson said, no matter what options are on the table, the facts are potentially horrifying and ominous. Yes, this is a bad time of year, and really we have to talk about very dangerous storms this time of year. So it's an unfortunate time of year. When do you think we'll enter the Greek alphabet? The Greek alphabet isn't a sure thing, guys. A lot of people have been also hyping that up. It's not 100% we're going to reach Greek letters. It's definitely possible. But not a sure thing, like I said before. Thanks for joining the Discord server. Again, that link is up there in the pinned comment if you want to join. It's a really cool place to be. We talk about weather and stuff. Let's see. Will South Carolina get impacted? It's impossible to say, guys. Drew Rumfelt said, just wanted to say I'm a huge fan. Keep up the great work. Thank you for being a fan, Drew, and I really appreciate you. Let's see. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to move on and take a look at our intensity forecast for 98L, and then we're going to go back and talk more about 97L since some people didn't catch it. Here is our 98L intensity forecast, guys. And it's a little bit of a bigger probability here than for 97L. We see a bit of an elevated chance for more development. As you can see, it's possible that later tonight we see tropical storm status, in my opinion. Very slim, but still possible. It's likely that tomorrow we're going to reach tropical storm status. And then by day 3, it's almost a sure thing, but it could happen very early on day 4. Although I am extremely confident this one is going to at least become a tropical storm. Then by day 4, we start to see the slim probability of hurricane. This could go up or down, but for now, I think we could see hurricane status eventually with this one. Laura Anaya sent $2. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let's see. After this point, again, I would say probably about a 25% chance of Category 1 status or above, maybe 30 at this point. That's going to go up and down from model run to model run. And then Category 2 becomes possible right here, as you can see, as a slim possibility. So we're seeing the potential for this one to head up into the stronger categories here. And only time will be able to tell. This one has a lot of time to work with. And it is possible that this one just remains a tropical storm the whole way through its life. That's the lower end probability of this one. And it is possible. Xavier Cheriska donated $3. Thank you so much for the donation. Is the MJO moving into the Caribbean now? Well, the Caribbean is pretty much the MJO is pretty much in the entire Atlantic by this point. We are in the active phase of that MJO already. So that's why we're seeing all this activity really pop up, is we're in that active phase of our MJO. Now, somebody was asking about the dry air and shear, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about that for you guys here, because that's kind of our negative factors. That's kind of the ones that will really eat these storms up, as well as the islands with very tall clouds. But let's see. So our shear, first things first. 97L shouldn't interact with the shear too much, because here's 97L right here. There's a high area of shear in this blue area that I've circled out. And that's really going to stay pretty far away from 97L, because 97L is probably going to take a track like this through the yellows and greens there. So shear is going to be kind of a non-factor for that one. Now 98L is heading pretty much right for the shear. That's the only thing that could really hold this one back at this point. And dry air, of course, which we're about to talk about in just a moment. But there is some shear, especially that 98L is going to interact with. 97L also is eventually going to interact with that. So let's take a look at the dry air, and we're going to have to stop this right there. Perfect. Oh, didn't stop it. Okay, gotta try again. There you go. All right. As you can see, 97L, dry air isn't going to be a factor for 97L. 98L, it's going to be a bit of a factor, but to be honest, I've seen worse, especially this year. We've seen way more dry air for these storms than this. Yeah, that is a huge amount of shear out here. Why did I close out of that? There is a pretty big amount of shear right here. And 97L is going to move through this, but I think it's going to move through these red areas, but not the very, very red areas. We see measurements way higher over here to the north of where 98L is going to head. So if anybody has any further questions, or possibly anything they would just want me to answer, I would be really willing to go through those. But I haven't really seen many questions. All right. Now, let me see where we're at. You guys are doing an awesome job smashing that like button. We're at 500 likes. But keep liking the stream, guys. It really helps suggest it to more people that could use this information. We're already getting tons of viewers in, so you guys have done an awesome job of just really helping this reach more people. I'm really glad a lot of people can get this information. I live in Virginia. Michael Price said, what conditions made 2005 season so notoriously bad? Low amounts of wind shear as well as small amounts of dry air combined really helped that season get off to a very early start. And that's pretty much what I say has the most to do with how good that season, or how bad that season was, but how good it was as far as how easily the storms were able to develop. That was one of the most impactful seasons of all time. If you remember Katrina, just terrible storms. So unfortunate. I hope we have nothing like that this year, guys. Okay. I'm going to talk about 97L because you guys are pretty much begging, so we're going to do that. I know a lot of you missed that, so it's my fault. Do you think starting today storms will be hyperactive? Hyperactive doesn't really refer to a single storm. It refers to the amount of storms that start popping up. It's more of like a season type thing. And I do think we're heading into kind of a hyperactive phase. We're in the beginning of it, possibly. When do I think the dry air or the shear will really start to die down? The wind, or sorry, the dry air is already dying down. If you watch this whole animation, you can see at the beginning it was much more potent and it's really died down. There is more to the north that's heading in, but really we've seen that die down. People are saying tornado in Florida, so we'll open up WSV3. Guess we'll take a look. I know that's not what this video is about, but we will do it. But yeah, the dry air has been on the decline. The decline, in my opinion. Now, what we're going to do is take a look at 97L. And on satellite, this storm does not look as good as it did earlier. We saw a lot of the taller clouds earlier on. And this one is really weakened from that point on. Why are you higher on 97L than 98L? I think 98L has a better chance of developing than 97L, so I don't know if did I say that earlier? Oh, it's on model. I was trying to get a thumbnail, I think, one day, and that's why it's on the model guidance. Let's see. Well, we'll move over here and see if we can't see this tornado. I was not expecting to do this today, but we got to do what we got to do. There is apparently a tornado in Florida, but it's radar indicated for now. We'll have to come back to that in a moment. So we've seen these clouds really dissipate a bit. They're pretty scattered around, not very organized. We got a long way to go with this system, guys. Yeah, if you're in this area, please take cover. Let's go ahead and try to take a look at our velocity. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, right there, guys. Let's go ahead and look at correlation coefficient. Yeah, I would say it's definitely possible that there is a tornado right now. So I would take cover. We'll come back to that. I know a lot of you probably didn't click this video for a tornado coverage, but, you know, sometimes things happen and you just got to do it. All right, now. Let's see. Oh yeah, I forgot. The model guidance isn't really working on tropical tidbits that well. 97L, the model guidance seems to want to take it more to the south down here, although I feel like a curve up here is much more likely. I did make my graphics earlier in the day, like 1 p.m., and we've had, or sorry, more like 11 a.m., 12 p.m. time frame. And we've had a lot more development of this more westerly track happen, so I'm starting to become a little bit more aware of that one. But for now, I'm still sticking with my original call. Let's see. Yeah. So if you're in DeLand, watch out. Let's see. Port Orange, Daytona Beach, it's going to go just south of you. Edgewater, just look out, guys. This one's looking quite potent. I would say this one looks like it could be on the ground potentially. All right. So, yeah, the model guidance right now, I'm taking it with a grain of salt. Also, the GEFS, it's not really picking up on all of the members here, so it's really hard to take this seriously, but it does show more of that westerly, more southerly track. So I'm definitely becoming more aware of that, and I'm starting to think it's a higher probability than I did before, but it's still not my number one most likely track, I would say. Now, the Canadian model is a little bit closer to what I said originally. However, this model is very spread out. That's what I said earlier as well. Look at how spread out that is. Absolutely ridiculous. And this model, it's really, you're going to want to take it with a grain of salt for sure. Because it's really just all over the place. It still has that very westerly, southerly track. It has more of a middle track hitting Louisiana, and it has more of this track hitting towards Florida. Everything is possible according to this model. It's not really a good sign for a model to be like that. It's really making me feel like it doesn't know what's going to happen. Let's see if we've gotten any updates from the National Hurricane Center here. We now have a 70% chance for Invest 97L to develop. It was a 60% chance earlier. We now have a 70% chance and a 90% chance here on 98L. And now we have a 30% chance within the next 48 hours of this one developing down here 97L, and an 80% chance of 98L developing within the next 48 hours. Again, I think it's going to happen tomorrow, but it's pretty possible it happens later tonight as well. Deceptive said, isn't the Gulf one of the more difficult places to forecast a storm? I would say that's, I mean, obviously it's impossible to say where the exact hardest place to forecast a storm is. Although I would say it is one of the most, because those storms can rapidly develop in that area with the warmer waters in pretty unpredictable ways. You don't really know. Like sometimes you're on the fence. For instance, Michael. People have been mentioning Michael a lot in this video. That one, it's the model guidance, if I remember correctly, thought maybe category 1 or 2, and then all of a sudden, you know what happened. So they can struggle and underestimate things, or maybe even overestimate things in some cases as well in the Gulf. It's a very difficult place, like you said. All right, let's go ahead and see if we've gotten any more radar updates here. Let's see. Pretty strong area of rotation. We're going to need to watch it closely. Can anybody confirm if that's on the ground? But again, like I said, our 5-day guidance here says 70% chance here for 97L. And also for 98L, we have a 90% chance. So we definitely do have two. Excuse me, I just hiccuped. I just drank a lot of tea, so we do have two storms here in the Atlantic that have a high probability of developing. Very interesting times, and this seems like near peak season conditions. We're about a month early, but we're starting to get very active here with two systems here. Somebody said the tornado was confirmed, so the cool thing, if you join our Discord, which again is up there in the pinned comment, that link up there, you can actually go to a channel we have there called Tornado Warnings, and it sends it every time that the National Weather Services puts out a tornado warning. It posts it in there automatically. So we have tons of resources there that are really cool if you'd like to check it out. Again, that pinned comment up there is where you can check that out. Yeah, I'm still seeing radar confirmed, but I know this might be having issues anyway. So sometimes it does that. Still says radar indicated here, though. Is there a satellite online for hurricanes I can look at? Yeah, if you go to tropicaltidbits.com, that's a great resource, as well as spaghettymodels.com is also great. All right, so somebody just said they're in Daytona Beach and want me to tell them if this tornado would possibly be heading towards Daytona Beach. And I would say, look, you're going to need to take cover soon, just in case. You're going to get that tornado warning either way, I think. But thankfully, I think it's going to be heading south of you just by a little bit, maybe towards the South Daytona or Port Orange area. I really hope you're more towards downtown Daytona or maybe a little bit further north, but really this one looks to be heading to those areas. Although, these tornadoes are known for moving in unexpected directions. We're hearing there's a tornado in DeLand, so very interesting stuff. All right, well, we have a surprise tornado, guys, and we're going to have to talk about this. So apparently there is potentially a tornado that was at least on the ground during or while it was over DeLand, possibly still. But Daytona, like I said, you should take cover, as well as areas near Port Orange, especially Ponce Inlet, South Daytona, New Smyrna Beach, I think. Oh wow, the Discord server has almost 800 members apparently. That's great, guys. I'm glad to see a lot of you are joining it. I would love to see you guys there. We get tornado warning updates, National Hurricane Center updates, severe thunderstorm warning updates, and just tons of weather discussion. We have a 98L discussion, an Invest 97L discussion, all sorts of cool things like that. We're going to watch this for the next few minutes. It should be out here in about 20, 30 minutes. It should be over water again. Yeah, it's not good to speculate EF ratings, guys. I know a lot of you like to do that, but it's going to be impossible to say. All right, we're going to take a brief break here from this tornado warning and start talking about the tropics again, because I know that's why most of you are here, but we are going to keep a very, very close eye on that. The next thing I want to talk about is the overall hurricane season. So let's see. We should have a updated hurricane season. Oh, okay. Here we go. So this was our most up-to-date hurricane season outlook. I want to just discuss this with you guys, talk about anything I wanted to mention to add on to this. So, as you can see, tropical waves will have a much easier time developing here. And why that is? Well, first off, we have the warmer than normal sea surface temperatures, which let me find that for you. Oh, wrong one. Especially here in the southern main development region, but overall, this is a bit warmer than normal. Pretty much as long as you're not in this little tiny area. That's really going to help these storms develop a lot. And if we start to see the reduced amount of shear, which we might, and I'll show you why, and it's because of our potentially developing La Nina. It's been up and down, but it's definitely on a downswing right now. And this is really going to help lower that shear, which is bad news for the hurricane season. Let's update us on this. The rotation looks to have weakened quite a bit, but we're going to want to really keep an eye on this. It's heading right for Port Orange. I'll come back to this in just a moment. So we really have way warmer than normal sea surface temperatures here. We could see a reduced amount of shear moving forward within this green region as well. And then within our red region. Within the red region here, that's the Caribbean, of course. Well, let's get a zoomed in look here. Well, it's not a Caribbean one. Oh my goodness. I keep clicking on that instead. All right, here we go. So as you can see, this area right here is one of the warmest of the season right now, except for up here, where storms have had a pretty easy time developing so far, actually, within this region. This is a very warm area up there, but also it's quite warm here. Again, this is compared to normal, so the normal is a lot higher down here than up here. So actually, as far as actual temperature, the warmest waters are probably, well, they're probably in the Gulf, if not down here as well. And it gets colder and colder as you move north. I almost just drew something I don't want to draw. And that was a really close one, actually. And we can see, in here we have the well above normal sea surface temperatures as well. All right. So that's why I think a lot of rapid development might take place in there. Now, for the pink region, which is our Gulf, I did say I think near normal conditions for developing. Mike Chaser donated $5, said, "Hey, Direct Weather." Hey, Mike Chaser, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I appreciate it a lot. Cool Creeper Ryan, they're going to have a much easier time developing than normal because there's usually shear and dry air. They're going to have a much easier time developing this year than typical. All right. Now, let's see. Now, for this pink region here, I put near normal development, but most storms could already be major. But now I'm starting to think this rapid development should be included in that region as well. Because originally, earlier in the season when I made this map, there was below normal sea surface temperatures in this pink region, so I thought it would be near normal. However, we've seen in recent developments, the warm waters have also spread to this region as well. Therefore, I think pretty much we're going to have equal amounts of rapid development across both of those regions. Now, the East Coast is the wild card because it really just depends. If we have a high pressure system here, then we could see storms track into this region. However, if we see a high pressure system here, they're not going to want to go to that region. They're going to want to either go here, which I guess is kind of in the region, but yeah, or kind of south into the Gulf. They're going to want to stay away from this high pressure. Again, if it's here, and there's our circle, the storms could want to come around it. But if it's over the East Coast, they're not going to want to go there. So that's why it's a wild card, because we can't predict where the high pressure system is going to be set up. So it's a wild card in that sense that things can change significantly due to placement of high pressure. I appreciate all of you. We're about to wrap this one up. I wanted to keep it short. I don't want to kill my throat today. This isn't like a emergency severe weather event or anything. So we've been here an hour. It's been a lot of fun. If anybody has any last minute questions, we'll take a look at that tornado. We've lost our tornado warning, fortunately, so it seems like it's coming dissipating just a little bit here, so that's a really, really good sign there. Still, I would be pretty safe, and try to take cover, but any further questions? Gav's Weather Vids, by the way, I love your channel. Said, think there will be at least one big hit on the East Coast this season. You know, it's really, really hard to say. I think that odds are higher this year than typical, but that does not guarantee that it will happen. But I do think that there's a bigger chance than not. Jaden's Fun World has been here for an hour and 3 minutes. Thank you for being here the whole time. I appreciate you. You've been here as long as I have, so I don't think we have a tornado here anymore, and there's not a tornado warning, but I would still just be on the lookout since there was just a tornado warning. That means the storm is still potentially tornadic, I would say. Hurricane 7 said, what are your intensity predictions for the Invest? I already showed both of them, but here, I'll show it again. Here is for 98L. You can take a look at that, pause it if you'd like. And then here's 97L, so you can pause that, screenshot it, do whatever. Anyway, if you would like to subscribe, I highly recommend it. If you want to check out more weather-related content, more streams like this, daily weather uploads, all sorts of stuff like that. Also, join our very exciting Discord community up there in the pinned comment. I would love to talk with you guys there. We have all sorts of awesome stuff. It's as easy as like 2 clicks. You can join our server and just be a part of the awesome community that we're building there. Almost 800 members. We usually have 200 members on at all times. Absolutely insane, and I love interacting with you guys there. I would just love so many people to be there. What program am I using for the radar? That's called WSV3. You can check them out. I've actually been having some issues with them recently, but I'm not going to talk about that. No problem, Gav. What's wind shear? It's basically very high up winds that... It's almost like a buzzsaw for tropical storms. It eats the top right off. So here's an example of wind shear. We can see where there's high amounts and low amounts. The red is indicating areas of very high amounts of shear in here. And then these green areas are a little bit more favorable for these storms to develop in there. Thank you all for being here. I absolutely love doing these streams. I want to do them more often. Uh, Rich Boy Rich said, when is the next video? I upload every single day, so tomorrow morning there will be a new upload. See, there's tons of comment coming in. When is the next winter video? I think later this month, maybe the beginning, I'll update the winter forecast. So hopefully you guys are very excited for that. I know those ones always get a ton of views because you guys just eat it up. I'm getting so many emails and DMs on Instagram about me uploading the next winter forecast. I almost can't resist to wait. Jacob Hokie said, congrats on 111,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. I'm so happy about it. I wanted to get a screenshot when it hit 111,000 and then 111 subscribers, so 111, 111, but I missed it. It was moving too fast, which I guess is a good problem to have, but I really, really wanted that screenshot. I thought that'd be really cool, but, better luck for 222, 222, I guess. Maybe 123, 123. That works too. Daniel Chandler said, have a nice day, Direct Weather. I love your information. Thank you so much for the kind words. Do 112K. Nah, the reason I wanted to get 111, 111 is because it's just so, aesthetic. I love all of you, too. A lot of people are saying they love me. I love all of my viewers, so I appreciate all of you. Will I do a winter outlook? Yeah. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a good one, too. My next winter forecast I'm probably going to do towards the end of this month, if not the beginning of September. So I'll be doing that. Eddie joined the Discord server. Thank you so much for joining the Discord server. I hope to see you there. Blaine's blog subscribed. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the family. If you guys would like to subscribe and see daily weather uploads and tons of streams, I would absolutely love to see you join our family. And also, if you'd like to join our Discord server, that's in the pinned comment up above where you can do that. That's where you can interact with me and tons of other weather geeks, just maybe like you if you're a weather geek, and just talk about all sorts of weather stuff. We try to keep it as user-friendly as possible, trying to build a giant community there, so come be a part of it, be a part of the family. Any further questions? Is it going to come to Jamaica? Either of these storms could pose a threat to Jamaica. I think 98L has more of a chance than 97L to hit Jamaica. But it's possible for both. Really just keep an eye on it. I don't know at this point. They could hit anywhere. These storms are highly unpredictable. Why do storms typically avoid Florida? They don't. Everybody that likes weather thinks that weather avoids them, but it doesn't. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this stream. Last minute, be sure to subscribe before you head out so that you don't miss our next videos and streams. Also, be sure to join our very exciting Discord server. I'll be in there all the time. You can interact with me and other cool weather geeks. I would absolutely love to see you there, guys. Anyway, I'm going to close this one out. I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are so loyal. I can't get enough of it. I love doing what I do every day. Thank you so much, guys. Stay safe, please. Stay up to date with the information coming out for these two storms. I think they're going to be some pretty potent storms, so I want people to really, really stay safe. All right. Now, the screen I need to close out of the stream is not opening, so I guess I'm trapped for a few more minutes. Here we go. All right. See you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. I guess I'm trapped for a few more minutes.